Breaking news here in batshit bonkers Britain, where I have made it back into my own country without being arrested. The Crown Prosecution Service are still looking at my case to see whether I should be prosecuted and arrested again, or maybe have jail time for calling myself a spaz. I am a spaz. If that's offensive to anyone else, then I suggest you suck it up. In other news, it turns out that the guy who set fire to a mosque in Kettering was actually a Muslim, one of their own. So it wasn't.
The chaos in Britain has taken another sharp turn, and tonight's headline feels like something pulled straight out of a political thriller. But no, this is real, it's happening right now, and it's shaking the country from London to Birmingham. What started as a small spark of controversy has now exploded into a nationwide debate about free speech, identity, and the strange, unpredictable direction modern Britain is heading. Strap in, because today's story is one of those, you won't believe this, moments that demands your attention from the very first second. I've just returned to my own country, and somehow, miraculously, without being placed in handcuffs on arrival. Yes, you heard that right. The Crown Prosecution Service is still hovering over my case like a storm cloud, deciding whether a few words, spoken in frustration and directed at myself, should lead to prosecution, a courtroom showdown, or even time behind bars. Imagine that. In a nation built on centuries of free expression, we're now debating whether people should be punished for what they call themselves. If that doesn't say everything about the direction we're sliding toward, then what does? But hold on, because this is where the story gets even stranger. A shockwave hit social media this week when news broke about the mosque fire in Kettering. After a whirlwind of assumptions, accusations, and the usual online chaos, authorities revealed something no one expected. The attacker wasn't who the public had been led to assume.
Any of those white people, those middle-aged white men that Gary Neville says are responsible for all the hate in this country. And finally, Robert Jenrick doing a terrific job. He said that in Birmingham, he hadn't seen a single white face. And I have to say, he's absolutely right. He's just pointing out the obvious. The really strange thing about my country is that when we become a minority, we don't get any of the rights that normally minorities would have. Robert Jenrick would find the same in London, Luton, Birmingham, Bradford, the list goes on. That's it for now. Batshit bonk.
Instead of fitting the stereotypical profile many commentators rushed to blame, the individual responsible was actually from the very same community as the mosque itself. Suddenly, the entire narrative flipped on its head, leaving journalists scrambling, critics confused, and the nation once again arguing about who is really fueling the division in this country. And while the dust was still settling, a familiar voice stepped into the spotlight. Gary Neville, never shy with his opinions, had already taken aim at middle-aged white men as the driving force behind Britain's growing tension. But the Kettering case cracked that claim wide open. When facts collide with preconceived narratives, it forces the entire country to stop, question, and reconsider what we're being told, and who is telling it. This is the kind of twist that leaves commentators red-faced and audiences demanding straight answers instead of convenient headlines. Then came another moment of controversy, this time involving Robert Jenrick. During a visit to Birmingham, he made a blunt observation: he hadn't seen a single white face. Whether people agree with him or not, the reaction was instant, fierce, and impossible to ignore. Some accused him of stirring division, while others insisted he was simply stating what he saw. But what made the moment explode online was the conversation it reignited, about cultural shifts, demographic change, and the uncomfortable reality that some topics in Britain can spark outrage simply by being mentioned aloud. And let's be honest, Britain today feels like a nation caught between two identities. On one hand, we pride ourselves on diversity and welcoming people from around the globe. On the other, there's a growing sense among many locals that they're slowly becoming voiceless in the very communities they grew up in. What Jenrick described isn't just about Birmingham, it mirrors what people say about London, Luton, Bradford, and countless other cities. The tension lies not in the diversity itself, but in the feeling that certain groups can speak freely, while others pay a heavy price for saying exactly the same thing. The irony is impossible to ignore. Around the world, minorities are usually given additional protections, support, and recognition. But here in Britain, when some communities become minorities in their own hometowns, the rules don't seem to work the same way. Instead of receiving understanding or support, many feel silenced, labeled, or dismissed the moment they express concerns. It's a double standard that people are finally starting to call out loud, and the backlash is spreading fast, especially across social media. And that brings us to the bigger question: how did we get here? How did a nation known for its calm, its common sense, and its famously dry humor become a place where every conversation feels like walking across a minefield? Britain today feels unpredictable, emotional, and divided, almost unrecognizable from what it was just a decade ago. The news cycle is a constant storm, and every week brings a new controversy that tops the last. If outsiders want to understand the phrase, "Bats hit bonkers Britain," they only need to watch the headlines for 48 hours. Through all of this, one thing is becoming painfully clear: the country isn't just having debates, it's having battles.